This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Give this team an inch and they will simply just take a mile. And tonight, another perfect example of that as the Brewers get their 8th victory in a row, their second consecutive over the Mets, game 2 of their 3-game series. This one by a final score of 7-4. Tobias Myers returning on the mound. They win their 8th in a row, as we had mentioned, and it was all fueled by a big 7th inning, and they will go for the sweep tomorrow over the Mets at American Family Field. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Locked On Brewers POSTCAST. My name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at Brandon_Snide, and follow all of my work over at WTMJ.com, where we cover all of our Wisconsin sports teams. We are also free and available wherever you guys listen to audio podcasts: Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, all bunch of terrific apps that support our podcast. Just make sure you hit that subscribe button. And speaking of subscribe button, over on YouTube, search Locked On Brewers. Nail that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you get notified when we go live. Hit that little notification bell as we talk about another Brewers victory. Now 28 games over 500, 72 and 44 on the season are our Brewers. We'll discuss this game, obviously, as we had mentioned, a roller coaster of a game, but this Brewers team keeps battling back. When they get pushed back, they always bounce up, and that's exactly what we saw this evening. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the player of the game. We'll talk about the turning point. And, of course, guys, the Brewers win 7-4, 8th in a row, 28 games over 500. Good vibes, and I want your celebrations on the program. Your thoughts, your comments, and your opinions are all welcomed as well as we break down the Brewers win this evening at American Family Field. Let's begin quickly with your scoring summary tonight, brought to you by our wonderful partners over at Gametime and over at Prize Picks. And it begins once again. So Tobias Myers getting the start for the Brewers. I thought his first inning was fantastic. A couple of strikeouts in that first inning. Again, Tobias Myers making his first bulk start for the Brewers up in the major leagues in a little over a month. He did pitch last, I believe, in Nashville. I believe it was back on October 1st. So a good amount of rest for Tobias. The first inning looked good, but the second inning, Pete Alonso would go to left field, 413 feet. That would give the Brewers a 1-0 deficit. But as we have mentioned this before, it feels like I say this after every win just about, because it feels certain that it happens, and it happened a lot since August has began, where the Brewers don't score first in a game, but they somehow find a way to bounce back right away. And that's exactly what happened in the second inning. Joey Ortiz at the plate, a chopper up the middle. Francisco Lindor at shortstop, taking his eyes off the ball, squeezes out of his glove into center field. That would give 2 runs crossing the plate. The bases were loaded, so the Brewers would take a 2-1 lead into the third. Starling Marte, who again hit the Brewers last night for a solo home run, would have a solo shot in the third inning as well. Nothing for the Brewers in the bottom half of the third. In the top of the fourth, Cedric Mullins would have an RBI single. That would give the New York Mets a 3-2 lead. But once again, when the Mets strike, that's okay, because the Brewers would do the exact same thing. As we have mentioned time and time again, the fourth inning, the bottom of the fourth, Bryce Terrain, who has been swinging a red-hot bat, a home run to center field, and no doubter, 410 feet. But the Mets in the top of the fifth would respond once again. Juan Soto, a solo home run. So Juan Soto, a solo home run today. Juan Soto, a solo home run on Friday. Same thing for Marte. That would make things 4-3, but nothing for the Mets in the top half of the seventh. But the bottom half of this game, the seventh inning, proved to be the difference in a 7-4 win.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Bryce Terrain leading off with a single. He would be on first base. Joey O. I put it out on my X account at Brandon_Snide, and it was back in the second inning when the bases were loaded. There was a mound visit for Frankie Montas, who didn't get the start, but had an opener in this game for New York, the former Brewer. And I put it on my X account. I said, big moment here for Joey O, a guy that has been kind of in the crosshairs as far as Brewers fans demanding a little bit of offensive performance. Certainly much needed at that position. Certainly had big shoes to fill all year long after Willie Adames left. But a big moment in this game was in the second inning. And I mentioned how it was pivotal for him to kind of get, do something in that moment. He certainly did, at least with a little bit of help from Francisco Lindor. But in the seventh inning, a ground rule double for Joey O down the right field line. That would have him on second, and Bryce Terrain, because the ball bounced into the stands, he would be stopped at third base. But once again, Isaac Collins down 0-2 in his count, coming in. Ryan Helsley throwing absolute gas for the Mets, topping at 104, 105 miles an hour. Isaac Collins with an RBI single that would score Joey Ortiz. That would give the Brewers a 5-4 lead. And then William Contreras. I mean, the things that have been going right for this Brewers team, a 2-run home run off of the bat of William Contreras, just a tick under 400 feet. But the pitch before that, there was a pitch timer violation. Had there not had been, William Contreras actually lined out to right field to Juan Soto, but he was called back, and things kind of unraveled there for the New York Mets after the next play would give the Brewers a 2-run home run. I forgot in the seventh inning too, Sal Frelick would ground out to shortstop the Brewers with a hit and run play on there as well. That would tie things at 4-4. Collins, as I'd mentioned with the infield single, would give the Brewers the 5-4 lead. And then William Contreras, the cherry on top for this team, a 2-run shot, and it felt good for him. You could tell stopping at first base and excitement and pounding his fist. A great at-bat from William Contreras, who has really been swinging a really good bat for this team. We had mentioned Tobias Myers at the beginning of the show, getting the start for Milwaukee. 3 1/3 innings pitched. He did allow 3 earned runs, 5 total hits over 66 total pitches. Not a terrible start, not a bad start, not a great start. I thought there was good moments in this game for Tobias Myers. Remember, Tobias was a huge piece in what this team was last year. So I still believe in Tobias. I still believe he has the goods to be a starting pitcher in this rotation. And we'll see with the injury to Logan Henderson what he does, what his role is. Tobias, that is, going forward, a flexor strain for Logan Henderson. And it's one of those injuries where it could sideline him, for a couple of weeks up to a month or so. So it's something that the Brewers will obviously play it safe. But with Jacob Mizorowski, not up to 100% after that line drive, and obviously Logan Henderson, the Brewers are not going to push it with their young stud. So there's potential we could see Tobias Myers continuing his role. Aaron Ashby making an appearance for the Brewers bullpen, 1 2/3 innings pitched. Shelby Miller. How about Shelby Miller tonight? A strikeout. He would only pitch 1 inning, but what you saw out of Shelby is exactly what I think this team, us fans are going to, grow accustomed to with his performance today. I thought he was fantastic. Only 10 pitches thrown in that 6th inning. I believe he made his appearance. So it was a great outing for Shelby Miller. Jared Koenig, as we had seen, kind of holding things down. Abner Uribe, his 31st hold of the season. He continues to be absolutely lights out in that 8th inning. 15 pitches thrown, 3 strikeouts for Abner Uribe. I have said it before, and I'll keep saying it. Abner Uribe is one of, if not the best late game relievers in all of baseball. He continues to prove it. Again, this is a potent New York Mets lineup. I understand they've been struggling as of late. I understand they've now lost a handful of games. I believe this is their 5 or 6 losses in a row. Hasn't been good for New York, but it's still a very, very good lineup. Abner Uribe shutting things down, and Trevor McGill doing Trevor McGill things, his 28th save on the season. And the Brewers 72-44, 38-20 at American Family Field, protecting the dome, still getting it done. A 7-4 win this evening. Good things happening for this team, 8 in a row. And we'll get to your thoughts, your reactions, and the player of the game coming up after this. Tonight's Locked On Brewers postcast is brought to you by our wonderful partners over at Gametime. Are you looking for concert tickets at the last minute and you log on and you're waiting forever for them to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see? Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of that ticket shopping. And that, my friends, is where Gametime comes in. They make getting those concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to the showtime, and you can now save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets right now with Gametime. Download the app today. Once again, Gametime. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. Again, terms do apply, but create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last-minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. That's Gametime. Today's program also brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up, and college football isn't too far behind. Right now is the perfect time for you to lock in your season-long, more or less picks for the 2025 football season, all before Week 1 gets set to kick off here in just about a month or so. Whether you got your eye on a big-name quarterback or breakout running backs, Prize Picks makes it easy for you to get in the game. Download the Prize Pick app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB. Again, Prize Picks. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB. Get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. Run your game. A 7-4 Milwaukee Brewers win, their 8th in a row, their second consecutive over the Mets in Game 2 of their 3-game series, and the good vibes continue to roll on for this Brew team. A big 7th inning turned to be the turning point in this one. The Brewers down a run. They turn that into a 3-run cushion when 4 players cross the plate in this one, and without further ado, your player of the game in a 7-4 Brewers win.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
I'm going to go a little bit out of the box here, and I haven't really even necessarily looked at the live chat here with our everydayers lined up, and I see all of you lined up, and we'll get to your thoughts in just a minute. But I kind of alluded to it in the beginning of the show, and maybe you caught the hint that I was leaning on. I thought Joey Ortiz tonight was special. Again, we have been pounding our fists on the table. We need more offensively speaking. I thought defensively tonight, Joey was fantastic. He's been fantastic all season long. A couple of hard hit balls his way tonight, and just a brick wall out there was Joey O on defense. But again, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I put it on my X account at Brandon_Sneide, SNEIDE. I said a big moment here for Joey. And in the second inning, when I tweeted that out and I put that out there, I understand that he did not have a true base hit, right? He technically reached on an error from Francisco Lindor, but he did something in this at bat that we just haven't seen him do consistently all year long. And that's simply just put the ball in play. And that's exactly what he did. It was a hard hit ball up the middle of the field. A tough play for Lindor. He was already keeping his eye, on second base or seeing exactly where Joey was in that at bat and going down the first base line and applying the pressure, as we have talked about with this Brewers team, applying pressure to opposing pitchers and opposing defenses. And that's exactly what Joey did there in that second inning. And then you fast forward to the 7th inning and you feel bad. I was hoping the Brewers obviously took the lead and eventually, won this game because of the 7th inning. But when he hit that ground rule double in the 7th, that was huge. Obviously for a number of different reasons. You get Bryce Terrain to third and Joey Ortiz is at second. You have 2 runners with less than 2 outs. There was 1 out in that inning, and you get 2 guys in scoring position. I felt bad, and I was hoping while watching this game, I hope that doesn't come back to bite the Brewers, that ball bounced into the stands, which made it a ground rule double. And I hope that doesn't come back to haunt Joey Ortiz or the Milwaukee Brewers, because he deserved that. Bryce Terrain, if that ball stays in play, Bryce Terrain walks home and the Brewers would have the advantage. But I thought Joey Ortiz today, defensively, offensively, I thought he was huge. An honorable mention, of course, to Wild Bill, William Contreras, getting a gift from the home plate umpire with a second chance after lining out. So William Contreras was my honorable mention there with the 2-run shot in the 7th inning. The Brewers had the lead at 5-4, but William Contreras helping smooth things over for the 7-4 win. Jarrett Koenig technically getting the victory this evening in 1 inning of relief this evening at American Family Field. Trevor McGill securing his 28th save of the season, a 7-4 win, 8 in a row now, 28 games over 500. Your thoughts, your reactions, all welcomed on the program. We begin with everydayer Jaden. Terrain hitting for power is awesome. He is really turning into a stud at second base. Power, speed, and contact. There is absolutely nothing that Bryce Terrain cannot do. And I hope he's the next player that this Brewers team, the Brewers front office, Matt Arnold look at and want to lock up long-term. Bryce Terrain does everything good. There's nothing he doesn't do good. I mean, he, at the beginning of the year, the first 30, 45 days, we're talking about really early, but we were talking about Bryce Terrain being an all-star potentially. And he was the Brewers at that time, their best hitter. And he has really started to get it going in lieu of the injuries that this team has faced. Talking about Sal Frelick, although he did return past few games, but also with Jackson Chourio. He was a name that we talked about have to step up. You have to step up for this team. John, over on YouTube, where are all you? We didn't do enough at the deadline. Fake fans. The crew is on fire. Appreciate your comment, John. If you listen to the show, I have said, even I think before, and I did say prior to the All-Star break that the Brewers were one bat, but then they just rattled off a boatload of wins and turned the NL Central standings completely upside down. But I thought Matt Arnold handled the trade deadline. He's been handling it all year, right? Taking the words from Pat Murphy, like Quinn Priester, Andrew Vaughn, where would this Brewers team be without those two guys? Let's just stop right there, right? And you get your backup catcher in Danny Jansen. You upgrade that position. We saw Shelby Miller tonight, 1 inning, his first appearance in a Brewers uniform. I guess technically he was part of the 2020 season, but opted out of it. But he does get a scoreless appearance in tonight's game. I thought Matt Arnold did a fantastic job with the trade deadline. I thought Matt Arnold did exactly everything that he should have done. He didn't overpay. I don't look far to the team south of the border and south of the standings in the Chicago Cubs. I mean, they gave up a lot for, the pitcher from Washington. It hasn't panned out. Like the relief pitchers, really the back end relief pitchers, Mason Millers and the Ryan Helsleys were extremely expensive. The Brewers didn't need that. I still believe in Trevor McGill. I know a lot of Brewers fans are kind of up and down, but I think this team, this bullpen going forward is solid. And I think the addition of Shelby Miller is going to help enhance that. I really do. I thought he did a fantastic job. And like Pat Murphy has said, he's kind of been in trade deadline mode all season long because of the injuries that this team has sustained at the beginning of the year. Everydayer Dominic over on YouTube. Will the Brewers ever lose again? The world is watching. I hope they don't. But unfortunately, the game of baseball and the way things tend to happen is there is a loss. But I will say this. Can we get free burgers at least? There's a great opportunity. If the Brewers win tomorrow, Sunday, and welcome in the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I know Paul Skeens will be tossed in there, but the last time the Brewers faced Paul Skeens, they had him out of the inning they had him out of the game in the 4th inning. It could be a realistic possibility that we're all enjoying free burgers. So good things are certainly happening, but unfortunately the Brewers might lose again. Everydayer Charles, so glad Charles is with us on the live stream. Shelby Miller pitched a scoreless inning in his debut tonight. He was great, and I think we're going to see more of him as he gets integrated with this Brewers pitching coaching staff, and obviously, find a role in the bullpen with him. But again, it gives Pat Murphy another, piece of his, relief pitchers to kind of mess around with and kind of find spots where he can go. And keep in mind, it's only going to get better because I do think Robert Gasser's on his way probably by the end of August. We saw Tobias Myers. Don't forget, Chad Patrick. If you guys are everydayers from day one, for when we started this post-game show back in April, I'm still a big believer in Chad Patrick, which we could see, as these rosters expand and middle relief, maybe becomes a question for this team. Don't forget those guys, but Robert Gasser has been absolutely lights out for the Brewers down in Nashville. Alan over on YouTube, 22-2 in their last 24 games, 24 number of games Vaughn has played for the Brewers. Is that a coincidence? That's a great point. And really, You go back to, it technically wasn't the start of the winning streak because they had one Sunday in Miami before they welcomed in the Dodgers to American Family Field when Andrew Vaughn got the call up from Nashville. And he was really the guy that ignited that stretch of games going into the All-Star break and certainly after, with that 3-run home run against the Dodgers. I know we have talked about him before, about that game, but he kind of really got things going for this Brewers offense during that, when he first got called up, and he's just been everything this team has needed. And we had talked about it. Again, we talked about just the trade deadline just a little bit ago. Like, he was a 3rd overall pick, guys, not too long ago, just a handful of years ago. The talent was always there. He just had to get out of that situation in Chicago and get into a winning organization and a winning situation for him and develop with a roster of guys that are here, the power of the friendship, that are winning, that are great teammates. And I'm not saying that they're not in Chicago, but they're not playing for anything in Chicago. They're playing for something in Milwaukee. They're the best team in baseball here in Milwaukee, and the playoffs are no longer a celebration here. That's the standard. That's the standard here now in Milwaukee, and certainly will be going forward. And now he's part of that. Billy B over on YouTube. If the Brewers win 12 in a row, I will call in sick to work and make the 5-hour drive from Prescott to Milwaukee for a George Webb burger. Will be worth it, certainly, because number one, it's a fantastic burger, but number two, because the Brewers are winning, and that'll make it even better. So the burger will taste even better. Michael over on YouTube, been a Brewers fan my entire life. This is a big comment here. He says, this is the best squad I've ever seen. I said it time and time again, and thank you so much, Michael, for being a part of the program. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that thumbs up button for me. I think that's a very interesting comment, because Michael's not the first one to come on this program and say that. And I have friends, I have family, who were around the 82 season, who were obviously around the 2008 season, the 2011 season, 2018 season. And I've heard that be said a lot. And I haven't been there yet, but I think I am, guys. I think I'm getting to that point. And it's because of how they play games, right? Like, they're never out of any game. If you give them, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, you give them literally an inch, they will take, like William Contreras did in the 7th inning. You give them an inch, they'll take 399 feet and blast a 2-run home run. And there's your difference in the ball game. And that's exactly what they do. They are relentless. They are tenacious. They have taken over the mind frame that their manager, Pat Murphy, has instilled in them since day one. I couldn't imagine wanting to play this lineup, wanting to pitch against this lineup, wanting to play defense against this lineup, having to bat against that rotation, against that back end of the bullpen. I mean, Isaac Collins, Andrew Vaughn, Blake Perkins, Caleb Durbin. Nobody knew who these people were. Yeah, Andrew Vaughn was a high pick, but after his moments in Chicago, nobody wanted Andrew Vaughn. Aaron Savali was given up for Andrew Vaughn. And it's not a knock on Savali, but it was kind of a throwaway trade for the Chicago White Sox, and they needed some starting pitching, and they wanted it, get rid of Andrew Vaughn. Nobody had this team on their bingo card to have the first to 70 wins, franchise best record over 60 games, the best record in Major League Baseball for the farthest part in the season since 82. Nobody had that on their bingo card. And they're not smashing 50 home runs a game. Obviously, it helps tonight when you get a Bryce Terrain home run and a William Contreras home run. They're getting timely hitting. They're playing sound defense, good pitching. It doesn't matter who's hurt. Guys are stepping up. Blake Perkins, as we saw on Friday night. Isaac Collins, the rookie of the month for the month of July. Nobody had that on their bingo card. And guys just continue to step up and play the game. They're nobody is a me person on that team. It's all about the team, and that all starts from the top down. It is a fun team to watch. And I think that's why, to Michael's point, I think I'm growing with this team, because we're seeing them grow literally before our eyes. Like, guys that we have been waiting for. We've been waiting for Sal Frelick to make his appearance up in Major League Baseball. I know he's been up here for a few years now. Bryce Terrain, I remember these guys in AA, AAA, and I remember Jackson Chourillo's name being tossed around in Appleton, and now they're here, and we're kind of watching them kind of mature and grow up in front of our eyes. I get goosebumps talking about it. And when people say they can't do something, or they failed at the deadline, or this isn't sustainable. Or if you're a Cubs fan and you continue to call us lucky, how is it luck at this point? You're 28 games over 500. You're the best team in baseball. You have been the best team in baseball for 2 months. There's no more luck. This team is here to stay. Stone Cold over on YouTube saying Packers remind me of this, rookies and no players. Amazing. Isaiah over on YouTube saying the Crew is now 46-14 in their last 60 games. Yeah, it's just been remarkable. And again, it's so many different ways. Tonight they were losing. They come from behind. Sometimes they put up 16 runs. They won in Atlanta with 3 hits. I mean, they're just doing it in so many different ways. And come postseason, you need that. That's how you win. Yeah, I know the Dodgers won last year, and they had more payroll than the state of Wisconsin can afford. But like overall, outside of that, World Series teams, championship caliber teams, deep playoff teams, you have to be able to win in different ways. You got to have a good bullpen. You got to have a good starting rotation. You got to have timely hitting. You got to have a good manager who's not afraid, he's a player's manager. The players love him. And the Brewers kind of have all of that. And that's exactly, what they have kind of transpired over the last, you talk about the 60 games there, 46-14. It's been amazing. Glory Days Sports Consultating on YouTube says, finally a World Series championship in Milwaukee for Uke, Mr. Baseball. It's starting. It's special. I'll say that. Obviously there's a lot of baseball to be played. It's August 9th. There's a lot of things to transpire yet throughout baseball. I think everybody in Milwaukee is also starting to feel like there's something brewing here. Their 12th sellout crowd of the season at American Family Field. We mentioned 46-14 over their last 60 games. Have won 11 of their last 12, including 8 straight. Something's happening with this team before our very own eyes. Something's happening. They're, at the beginning of the year, if the Brewers, you guys remember, I don't exactly remember the record, but if you listen to the program back in April and May, if the other team scored, we were already preparing for a loss because that's just what they were kind of turning into. Is the other team scores, their record wasn't very good. That hasn't been the case as of late. 20-10 now over the last 30 games where their opponent has scored first. So I think things are trending in the right direction, and it certainly feels like something special is brewing here in Milwaukee. Dan over on YouTube says, I tried the Brandon curse. I complained about Contreras yesterday, and he ends an 0-for-21 slump. Today, I am complaining about Yelich. Yeah, not a great game from Christian Yelich. A couple of strikeouts, 0-for-4 this evening. So hopefully, Dan, we got to get number 9 in a row. We got to get to 9 before we get to 12. So we may need Christian Yelich tomorrow in game 3 of their 3-game series before they wrap up this series and welcome in the Pittsburgh Pirates. Nathan over on YouTube, Brewers hitting, showing amazing discipline after getting down 2 strikes, keep working their way back into at-bats. There's not an easy out with this team. 1 through 9, there's not an easy out in this lineup. Isaac Collins, and I know he batted second today for the Brewers. Isaac Collins was down 0-2 to one of the best relief pitchers in baseball, and Ryan Helsley, and turned an 0-2 into an RBI single, and getting this Brewers team back some of their mojo as part of that turning point for the 7th inning. There's not an easy out. I mean, they battle and they battle. We saw Andrew Vaughn. He got the player of the game. When was it? Wednesday, I believe, in Atlanta. I think it was Wednesday. Don't quote me on that. A 12-pitch at bat where it was 0-2. He worked at the 3-2 and then hits a home run. Like, I'm simply amazed at what this team can do. And you're right, Nathan, to your point. There's no easy out for this Brewers team. They're very disciplined. They're very pesky to get out. And that wears on a team, guys. Mentally, obviously physically, but mentally, that wears on a team. If the Brewers didn't apply any pressure on an opposing defense, Francisco Lindor makes that play at with that Joey O chopper up the middle in the 2nd inning, makes that play with his eyes closed. But because of the defense, or because of the pressure that the Brewers were presenting to the New York defense, he took his eyes off the ball, trying to get ahead of the play, not allowing the play to come to him. And what happens? The Brewers get 2 runs, take the lead early in that, and they don't, battle back, back and forth, and eventually grab the lead and win this game 7-4 over the New York Mets. Couple more comments before we get things wrapped up. As everydayer Steven says, Reese better love being a pinch hitter. Yeah, that's going to be a good problem to have. Certainly will be definitely talked about, and we'll see going forward. Hopefully the Brewers have good health when he returns, but he is taking fielding drills, fielding work pregame. He is swinging the bat pregame. So he's probably going to be back. It's August 9th. I would anticipate, that third, fourth week of August for sure. And again, it's a good problem to have. It's another good bat in this lineup with the playoffs looming as the Brewers win tonight. They beat the New York Mets, game 2 of their 3-game series, by a final of 7-4, 72-44 now on the season. My thanks to each and every one of you for always tuning in. Thank you for always making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. Again, we are free and available wherever you get audio podcasts: Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, tons of other terrific apps that you can tune in and listen to. Chuck Freeman, my guy on The Daily Show, and me following Brewers games and Brewers wins as of late, 8 in a row now for this team. We're also available over on YouTube. Just go to that search bar, type in Locked On Brewers, hit that subscribe button, please, and thank you. Hit that notification bell, get notified when we go live, and smash that like button for me as we continue to talk about the best team in baseball, the best team in the National League Central, and of course, our favorite team, that is the Milwaukee Brewers. 7-4 win tonight. They'll go for this sweep tomorrow. My name is Brandon Snide. Once again, you can follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at Brandon_Snide, and we will talk about game 3 tomorrow after the last out. As always, feels good after 8 straight, but nonetheless, win, lose, or draw, it is always go Brewers. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you.